Shalom, everyone. Rabbi Eric Solomon, Raleigh, North Carolina, Beth Meyer Synagogue. Morning Torah. The Torah portion this week is Vayigash. We are in this set of Torah portions getting ready for, or dealing with Joseph, Yosef HaTzadik. Joseph, it's the greatest story ever told. It's too much to get into the whole story here in this short video, so definitely take a look at it. Pop open your Chumash or Tanakh or Torah, take a look at it. But in this section here, yes, in broad strokes, Joseph's a young kid. He's favored by his father Jacob, and he's one of the two born to Rachel, also Benjamin. Basically, he's favored. Tensions with the brothers. The brothers go to try to kill him, basically throw him in a pit. Gets sent down to Egypt via caravan. Long story short, he rises up to be eventually the second most powerful leader in Egypt. There's a famine in the land of Israel. There's food in Egypt, so his brothers end up coming down. And they finally, in the end, after this tenseness, basically the brothers want to kill him. They almost do kill him. Yosef sees them in this room, and they have this powerful reconciliation where Yosef removes his garb, his mask. He tells who he is. His brothers are shocked. They think he's died. And they have a moment of powerful connection, of crying, of openness, of weeping. Eventually, even Jacob comes down, sees his son. It's powerful reconciliation parsha. But there's one line in Genesis chapter 50. There's a verse which kind of really, in a sense, is the summation of the whole thing. Now, theologically, it's problematic for me, but let's just first say what it says. So Yosef goes down and he reveals himself to his brothers. His brothers are shocked. They think, oh my God, Yosef's gonna kill us, probably, because what we did to him. He's in power. He's got all these guards. He's got all Egyptian government power. We'll call it. He could do vengeance. And Joseph tells them basically in verse 20, essentially, don't worry, it's okay. What you meant for me for ra'ah, what you meant bad for me, God made it letova. God meant it for the good. And so basically says, in the end, this story was terrible. You did try to hurt me, but in the end, God was behind the scenes and made sure that it ended up well for me. And actually, ultimately, you could say for them, for all of them. Now, that theology, that behind all suffering and terrible things, really there's God's hand, and it was meant for the good, and it's definitely a Torah theology. It's a biblical theology in many ways. Not every aspect of the Bible, by the way. If you look in, there's more complex voices. But it's a theology I personally don't accept. It's not that terrible things happen, like COVID, and it happened for a reason, and I've given that to Var Torah before. I personally don't accept that. But here's what I want to say I think is powerful about that. When Yosef looks at his life, he was born, his mother died young, his father, the favoritism. He was also a little bit arrogant kid. But whatever, bottom line is he had a kind of a charmed early life. And then a lot of his life went down the tubes. Now, in the end, when he becomes, head of Egypt or second, you could say, ended up well. But still, he was distant from his father. His mother died. His brothers hate him. He had a terrible life for many years. And then when this reconciliation happens, so what's the point? The point is that Joseph really has the power, and you'll see where it's coming for us, to determine what is his story of his life. Is his story that essentially life screwed me? I was only terribly treated, everything went against me? Or is his story that, and it's the one he chooses, I think, in that verse, that no. Yes, terrible things happened, no question, but no, there's meaning behind my suffering, and I can even see it. There's goodness in what happened in my life. In a sense, he's making a choice. How do I look at my life? Just give you a classic example. In a couple weeks, I'm celebrating a big birthday, milestone birthday, 50. Thank God, please God. Kind of hard, as they say, like Moses till 120. I'm a human being like anyone else. 50, oy vey, gavald, I'm turning 50. All the jokes you get in the Hallmark section of the cards in the store, older people, middle-aged, alta-cocker, I get it. Look, I feel it. Things are more sore. I can't do the things I used to do, I want to do. I can look at my life, and believe me, it comes up on my own neshama, and say, oh, how old am I getting? Oh, I'm midlife. Oh, how many years, please God, I've left. Things I can't do. I'm physically in pain. Sleep isn't as easy anymore. We all know the story. That is one way to look at one's life, my life. And then there's another way. The other way to say is, thank God I'm having a birthday. Thank God I've reached this moment, Shechianu. That's the power of Shechianu prayer. The blessing of thanking God for reaching this moment. Thank God I have this time with people I love and family. One story is, COVID is terrible. It is terrible. Another story is, thank God we're here. There's some people that are not here. People are suffering with long-term COVID. Thank God for vaccines. It's a matter of a choice. What is a birthday? A devastation of what you're lost? It's sadness? Or gratitude for what you gained in more time? This is the choice. And the story I'll end with is one of Steve Jobs. I've shared it before. It's so powerful. In his book by Walter Isaacson, a biography written about him, he was adopted. And he tells the story. He came home from school one day. He knew he had a vague sense that he was adopted, but he was only like 5 or 6 years old. He didn't really, I guess, talk about that much. Long story short, it's according to the story, early part of the story of his bio. He came one day at school. A girl, next door neighbor, teased him and said, Steve, you are adopted. You were adopted. And he was like, yeah, well, who cares? And the girl said, well, that means that your mom, your birth mom, didn't want you. And when he understood that at 5, 6-year-old, he was devastated. It kind of clicked what adoption meant. He didn't understand that, really, what it meant. So he ran home, hysterical, goes to his parents. Mom and Dad, oh my God, I'm adopted. And I said, yeah, we told you you're adopted. He said, no, but I told this girl, Kathy, whatever. She said to me, my mom didn't want me. My parents didn't want me. Is that true? And this famous line that formed his entire life is his parents said, no, not that your parents didn't want you. It's that we chose you. That's what's important, Steve. We selected you. Of all the children in the world, we picked you because you're special. And that's the story he took to heart. Was he unloved and tossed away, or was he picked and chosen? That's a matter of choosing your story. Both are true, by the way, but it's a matter of what angle you look on. And that's what Yosef HaTzadik teaches us. He looked at his life, even with all its difficulty, as being one where there was blessing. That's a choice. You can, in fact, change your life if you change your story, how you look at your life. That's one of the deep and profound messages of this week's Torah portion. Shabbat Shalom to all. Good luck, God willing, with God's help in choosing a beautiful, meaningful, rich, and positive story like Joseph. Shabbat Shalom.